Hi there. This is Dr. Lavelle McGarry with Surge Hub. Dr. Lavelle McGarry with Surge Hub. We are a cultural hub that mm, builds and infuses diversity, builds and equips emerging leaders, and also spearheading yet reformation with the emerging. I'm excited to be a part. When I said to bring forth this segment on today, and we're talking about trapped in time, and you're going to say, "Well, what do you mean trapped in time?" I'm speaking to the emerging leaders. I'm speaking to the innovators. I'm speaking to leaders per se that either in transition, they're either moving forward, building, executing. Hi, good morning. Good morning. Either executing and at the same time they're revamping their model, or they're literally dissecting their model and looking at it as to say what will work, what wouldn't work. Does this time or this season call for what we're building? And there are those that are taking a closer look at their model. So when we say trend time, I'm just going to go here just a little bit, and you'll see why I said trap in time. So again, get a friend, tell a friend, share the link, have pen and paper because pretty much I just love to share. And we're just gonna have fun with this, okay? Just gonna have fun. We're gonna talk about a little bit about you being trapped in time. So, so the conscious mind of the creator uprises in every generation. What do I mean? In every generation, in every season, the conscious mind, the conscious mind uprises, seeks or come forward, emerges in every generation. There's always a leader that sound echoes or have the frequency of God. Not only sound or echoes have the model, the implementation, the building, the blueprint of God. So a conscious mind of the creator uprises in every generation. It revolts, it breaks, it severs the restraints of mediocrity. I'm going to say it again. And I'm speaking to you, the emerging, or those that are transitioning, and those that realizing based on the model or the blueprint that you have is bringing havoc. All you're doing in the simplicity of things, harmoniously, and at the same time with the innocence of who you are, you're really just walking out the idea or the concept of what the creator has given you. And it's causing friction. Now you're going to know why it's causing friction, okay? Again, your blueprint, what you're building, executing in the earth realm, it revolts, it breaks, it severs the restraints of mediocrity placed on history makers over time. We talk about change agents a lot, but you are also a history maker. And you're saying, well, why am I a history maker? And history makers, ones those that are creating or leaving a legacy, or that legacy that leads back to or trace back to the creator. Your legacy leaves the imprint in the earth realm that leads back or leads to or speak of the creator. So not only are you a change agent, you are making and creating history that leads back, speak of the creator. It is a man's ideology and cultural diffusion that contends against the universe principles that legally and systematically desensitize mankind. So again, it is man's ideologies, our thought processing, the way we think, and cultural diffusion and concept that goes against the grain, goes against the principles of the creator, goes against the principles of the earth or the universe, and that it legally and systematically desensitized. So by our way of thinking, we are bringing harm to ourselves by desensitizing the way or downplaying our thought process. Why? Because we're not tapping into the full capacity of who we are. We're not tapping into the reality or the authenticity of who we are. We have yet to begin or walk out who the potential of who we are. So we're comfortable. we're complacent, and we are stuck in some spaces based on our ideology, thinking that this is it. But we become comfortable. Why? Because we tap into purpose at that space or that moment in time, and we go in full throttle thinking, well, that's it, only to realize that's just a part, a section, or a portion of us. Okay. And so with that, we legally, which means we come into contract, we legally bind ourselves into some spaces, into some areas legally, and we park ourselves in some places by way of relationship, by way of ministry or our jobs or relations, into some places that's numbing or dulling our sensitivity, numbing who we are. We become so prone to pain, and that we numb out, we tune out the whole world. We now neglect who we are, and we shy away from who we are, and we've become yes men or yes women, and so we've disconnected from ourselves, and it's causing us to plummet in, when I said plummet, in a downward position. But the more we become conscious or aware of who we are, we sever or cut away from religiosity, and we take on spirituality. We take on who we are, and then we ascend, or we, when I said embark, or remove, or become higher, a higher plane of thinking. And when we ascend in a higher plane of thinking, we break social norms, we break social order, we break what have come to keep us captive. We break those spaces and those boundaries and those lines, so we could align with the creator, so we could align with the creator. So good morning, good morning. So we'll find ourselves in some places and some spaces, again, where we're supposed to be leaving our imprint in the earth realm, that we become locked in. We become, when I said, there is arrested development there. It shut us down. It shut down our wiring, where we are spontaneous and we're fluid and we're moving, and we're supposed to be as a reservoir. Now we can't move. We're so stuck. We can't flow. We're just, and it shuts down our thinking. We can't, we're not so creative, because we find ourselves in some spaces and connected to some people, or we're functioning in some places that's contradicting the normality of who we are. Okay. So mediocrity is at its best, it presents itself as a multifaceted mask. Mediocrity presents itself as a multifaceted mask, disguising itself as that will make you think that you're insignificant. Okay, so mediocrity, again, was a it presents itself as a multifaceted mask. It's my third time saying this, and it will make you think that you're insignificant. Mm-mm-mm. It makes you lack identity. It makes you think that you are nothing less, because we have dummied down who we are. We have numbed who we are. We have shut off our wiring just so we could fit in. And we know we don't fit in. We know everything about us speaks loudly that people identify with who we are, and they know who we are. They also know whose we are, but we dumb it down, and we find ourselves in some place that dims the light on us, so we don't send out signals by way of vibration that people could pick up who we are. It shuts down our frequency, it takes away our voice and our sound, so people don't detect who we are. So that's why I say we're trapped in time, because that time, and you entered in as a season, and now those seasons have become years. Okay, those seasons have become years. So it is through consciousness, it is through the transformed mind or transformed thinking, that the identity, or your identity, is what revealed. It's through consciousness or transform thinking, where your mind or thought is being renewed, that your identity is revealed. Not you reveal your identity. Your thought process reveals your identity. Your frequency reveals your identity. The substance of you reveals your identity. The depth of you reveals your identity. The sound of you reveals reveals your identity. Not you reveal your identity, but your mental state reveals your identity. And you wonder why all hell breaks loose around you because of what the expression of what you say, my God, shakes the atmosphere. It changes the temperature and it brings chaos to a normality. And now, who do you think you are? Why are you here? Because your presence alone disrupts some norms. I don't know why I'm going here. Again, so your thought process, your transform mind, the way you think brings or shapes and speaks of your and reveals your identity. And when it reveals your identity, what does it do? It reveals or remove the layers of dogmatic behavior. And so when we say dogmatic, it reveals or expose Jezebelic, controlling, manipulative ways of thinking, those that comes to obstruct or imprison or oppress and suppress you. I'm speaking to somebody. Okay, the identity of you based on your thought process removes the layer, it removes the mask of those with dogmatic or agenda. Okay, not only that, if it doesn't reveal or expose those mass, those mindset or those thought process will hold you captive over time. I don't know who this is for. It will hold you captive. So once conscious, what, oh my God, as your eyes are open and like, oh my God, I got it. Once awakened, the millennial state of one's awareness, your awareness speaks of your existence. It speaks of your postures. It speaks of your authority. It speaks of your governance. It speaks of who you are. It uncovers. It uncovers. Okay. It uncovers. It vetoes. It overrules. It exposed the language. It exposed the agenda. It exposed the mindset. And because you are now bringing God's original intent, you are bringing God's agenda. You're exposing things, and you're like, "What have I done? I don't know who I'm speaking to. I didn't do nothing. I just showed up. I just opened my mouth. I just said so and so, and it exposed the agenda." So yes, now do you understand why I'm saying that you are trapped in time? It exposed your agenda because you represent God's original intent in the earth. You bring forth God's agenda in the agenda in what I said, the intent for that situation. Okay. So now let's speak about your significance. And if this is blessing you, please let me know that it's blessing you. For those that will be watching the replay, just type hashtag replay. Okay. We're going to speak about your significance. We're a people that's desperate for significance. We're wanting to know. We chase purpose. We chase purpose until we realize that purpose is chasing us. Okay? Because we're trying to know who we are. We're trying to relate to who we are. We're trying to make sense of who we are, how we're wired, how we think. Okay, so our determination to pursue life purpose has been etched in our spirit from the beginning of time. So this search propels us forward. It moves us. It quench our thirst. It feeds our hunger. We go to sleep hungry, trying to figure out who we are, knowing who we are. We are in search naturally. That's how we are wired, to know the significance of who we are. And as you move forward, making you, some will say that it'll drive you to your that you eat, sleep, your purpose. I don't know who this is for. You eat, sleep, your purpose. Some of you, like me, try to quit several times and you end up waking up doing the same thing. Why am I still doing this? Because it's etched in you. It's wired in you. It's embedded in you. Purpose. Now, again, when you chase purpose, you'll realize that purpose is chasing you. Okay? You'll chase purpose only to find that purpose is chasing you. And this is why I say that, because though we have those that know what they're called to do, but they refuse to do it. I'm not doing it. That's too much warfare, too much this, too much pressure. It's just too much. Only to find that the echoes of purpose confirms the timing, which is you. The echoes of purpose confirms the timing, you in the earth realm. And they were like, oh, aren't you so and so? I see you doing so and so. I confirm so and so. Aren't you so and so? So again, the echo of purpose of time, purpose confirms who you are. I watched a little snippet of a video yesterday with Kelly Price, and this was a fan. And she was so excited to see Kelly Price. And she was like, hi, Kelly Price. Hi, how you doing? And Kelly Price told her hi. And then right when she was getting ready to go in the car, she turned around and Kelly Price started prophesying. I'm talking about the singer Kelly Price. She started prophesying to that young lady. And we know Kelly Price is singing music. She's on the radio. She's on TV. She turned around and said something in her time. She represented time for that young lady. She couldn't go into her car. She turned around and she pointed that finger and she started prophesying to that young lady. And it brought tears to that lady. What I'm trying to say is all she was doing is saying, hey, Kelly Price, how you were doing? But time stood still and what confirmed time and prophesying to that young lady. See what I'm saying? We will make way to speak out, to be a part, to connect. And she had no clue that God was waiting for her. So who am I speaking to? You represent timing for somebody else. You echo the timing for somebody else. And you could very well say, well, I don't want to go. I don't want to be a part of this. I'm tired. I'm burnt out. But you representing the timing for somebody else. So don't be trapped in time serving people, connecting to a people that don't know who you are, will never appreciate who you are, will never acknowledge who you are, when there's a people waiting for you time to activate and unlock time, activate and unlock purpose in their life, thrusting them forward. They've been waiting for you. So don't be trapped in time. When time, people are waiting for you. Don't know who this is for, okay? So with time, you are the significance of time. You are the voice of time. You usher time. You align time. You speak time. Okay, you speak time. So you, in search of your significance, pursue timing only for you to reflect timing or the season of time. So a lot of you are waiting for the season of time. I'm waiting on God. I'm waiting on God. This is not the season. Forgetting that God is not locked into the four seasons of time. He's not locked into those four seasons: summer, spring, winter, fall. He's not locked into that. You represent a season, which means you represent the timing of God. A lot of us are waiting for, and I said us, the body of Christ, are waiting for time when you are time in the earth realm. You speak of time. You release time in the earth realm. You align time in the earth realm. Okay? So, though your voices echo time, though your voices echo what God is doing in the earth realm, you are God's history maker in the earth realm. I know we talked about you being a change agent in the earth realm, but it's by your imprint in the earth realm, it'll be traced back to God. It is by your implementation, what you're building, the blueprint, your ministry, what you're building, it's going to be traced back to God. Because when they locate you, they locate the breath of God. When they locate you, they locate the timing of God. When they locate you, they locate the mind of God. They say, how did she do such and such? How did he do such and such? So when they locate you in the spirit, my God, there are generations ahead that's going to locate you. How did she do that? How did he do that? And when they locate you, trying to figure out how you were wired, how did you do such and such? It'll lead them back to the Creator. So you are God's history maker in the earth. You are God's history maker in the earth. So your voice echoes time. Your mind speaks of time. Your presence resets time. I hope this is blessing someone. Please, someone press time. You reset time in the earth realm. You are the voice echoing time, God's timing in the earth realm. A lot of them can't get, my God, a lot of them can't come out of that pit until you get there. A lot of them can't be released until you get there. A lot of them can't get delivered until you get there. A lot of them can't get thrust forward until you get there. You speak to the womb of time. You speak to what they're birthing. You speak to what they're carrying. You speak to their mindset. You echo time. You echo time. So you, in the search of significance, you drive time. So it's not about you. It's not about you. It's not about you. I don't know who this is for. It's not about you. A lot of you are too late. You're lacking behind. You're lacking behind. You're long overdue. You're lacking. Matter of fact, you're 10 years behind. You're 5 years behind. You drive the significance of time. You speak of time. Your timing. That's why you're tired. That's why you're fatigued. And now here it is now. You're trying to implement what God gave you 5, 10 years ago into this time when you have outgrown that time. So could it be that you're trying to go back in time to implement what in this timing when all creation wants what's in dormancy? Don't neglect what's in dormancy. Are you offsetting time by going way back in time for what gave you? God gave you 5, 10 years ago. And now you're trying to present what God gave you 5, 10 years ago to this present day. Neglecting that what you're carrying in dormancy, all creation has been waiting for you, waiting for what you're carrying, what you're birthing. So don't overrule the timing, only looking back at what you should have picked up, what you should have ran with, what you should have been running with, and forget what you're carrying. Time. So while in pursuit of time, striving, controlling, implementing, building the aspects of time, the temperature, the season of time into the lives of God's chosen. Be mindful that that what you're carrying is not only your belief system, but your faith and your philosophy. That's your posture, that's your stance. So again, when they're tapping into you, time, they're tapping into your present day truth. They're tapping into your revelation. They're tapping into your revelation. They're tapping into your knowledge. They're tapping into your knowledge base. They're tapping into time. I don't know who this is for. So yet your philosophy of faith, your belief system, that's meaning, that's your importance, how you believe. And I said I'm going to go there for just for a little bit, because how you believe, your belief system could very well be the faith that carries you and them. They might not have the faith that you have. So your belief system, once you get there, your faith might very well carry you and them into or cross that threshold. I'm gonna say it once more. They might not have the faith that you have. You might have that radical faith. Your faith, your philosophy, your belief system could very well be your faith carrying them into their new, crossing over into their new, crossing. They've been waiting for God to show up, which is you. And now you have to cross over, carry them into their new. How? Through your faith. Through your faith. So your belief system is powerful. Your belief system is important. Your belief system, it's intertwined with your language, the mysterion. Your belief system is your foundation. So some individuals will not pursue because they don't have the faith. They don't have the support system. So I said that to say this. What if it's you and you alone? Will you go? What if they don't support you? They don't agree with you? Will you go? What if they can't see what God have given you? Will you go? What if they can't even tap into? What if they don't have the capacity? Will you go? Are you still waiting for the right people, the right minds, the right people to take you over, cross you over with you? A lot of us have been carrying people into some places that don't have the capacity. And a lot of us have been carrying people into spaces, into realms and dimension illegally, because they have not been sanctioned to go. They have not been deputized, and they have not been released to go into these places that we are taking these people in. And we wonder why we're suffering and going through pure hell. That space, that realm, that dimension, you invested in time, you broke. I'm talking about you went through pure hell to get there. You turned on your plate, you've been praying, you did all the right things, and that was not your focus. But what I'm saying is that God made a way for you. He paved a way for you to get there. And now you want to take Pookie and them. They don't have the capacity, nor do they have the know-how. No, they're not ready. But because we believe that we have to take people with us because we need that support system. Who tell you that your team or the people that you've been waiting for to support you is not in that next place, that next phase, that next dimension? Who told you that they're not waiting for you to get there? So a lot of us have missed doors, windows of opportunity, waiting. I know what I'm talking about because I've been there, done that. Waiting for the right people, the right minds, those that have the capacity, the waiting. And we've missed opportunities, missed doors, missed opportunities, I'm talking about missing it. And that door is swinging and that window is swinging when you're supposed to be crossing over the threshold, but we're waiting. They don't have the mindset. They're not ready. They need to grow. They're still immature. But we've been waiting. We've been waiting. Just because they are anointed and gifted, that don't mean they have the capacity. And that don't mean that they're mature. They will speak your language and echo your language so they could relate. But the responsibility of the assignment will make the difference. A lot of them will forfeit the assignment. A lot of them are not loyal to the assignment. They will forfeit the assignment because they don't know. They will run from the assignment. Give them an assignment. Give them another assignment, and you'll know who's responsible and who's not, who's mature and who's not. Just because they echo and they could relate with you and speak the same language, that don't mean that they're mentally ready, and that don't mean they have the capacity. I don't know who this is for. Hope this is blessing you. So stop taking people into places that they have not deputized. They're not ready. They're not mentally ready. They're not mature, and they don't have it. When I said to where they're able to bore or bear the burden of your assignment. They don't, their shoulders, the capacity, they don't have it where they could bear the responsibility of that assignment. So again, I hope this blesses you. I hope this blesses you. So though we are striving and we are maneuvering and we are moving forward. And that scripture just came back to me, and I forgot, even with Joshua, before he went into battle, what he did was test this skill set. I'm going to go to Gideon first. Before he did it, Gideon tested the skill set of his man. He tested the skill set. The same thing for Joshua. Before he went into war, he was able to test the skill set of his man. Because guess what? When you're on that battlefield, you're not by yourself. You move. In him you move, and in him you move in being. So which means you move as one. A lot of them are on the battlefield, but they're casualties. And everything is warfare. And really a lot of it is emotionalism. And even the at hand. So we're taking those into war zone. I'm hearing the Spirit of the Lord, into war zone for people that's carrying your mantle, but there wasn't grace to carry it. My God. Just because they've been under the shadow or under the grace of your mantle, that don't mean they are grace to carry it and move in it. That don't mean that they're ready. That don't mean that they're ready. Okay. And you have those that are more than ready, but you don't have the capacity for them. I'm just going to say it. They're highly intelligent, and God sent them to thrust you forward, but you become intimidated because of their intelligence. You became intimidated because of their prayer life. You became intimidated because they're so far ahead, and God has shown you through them where you should have been. Don't know who this is for. Don't know who this is for. So I hope this is blessing you. I hope this is blessing you. So don't give up. Don't give up and don't give in. But as you are moving forward, and again, as you are walking in the authenticity, and your identity reveals who you are, you will destroy and tear down what is coming against or contending against the principles of the Father. Okay, and so with that, you are to fulfill, and you are to pursue purpose. You are to complete and carry out the assignment. And Karen, you don't even know what the assignment is. If you ask me, you're going to tell me the mandate. I didn't ask you about the mandate, because the mandate is broad. And even in that mandate, they have different or several assignments. The mandate is broad, but there are different assignments. There are different assignments. When I ask you what the assignment is, don't tell me what the mandate is. Tell me what the assignment is. Each season have a different assignment. The mandate is broad, and there's different assignments. Okay? So your belief system, your faith, and who you are will indeed destroy and tear down what is coming to contend against the consciousness of God. That's why the battle is in the mind. And if they could just get into your mind to stop, to speak, to come against, where you could stop progression, okay, in the mind. That's why you have to surround yourself with counsel. Even though David, I'm talking about, his ear was at the heartbeat of God and he was the pulse of God, he still surrounded himself with counsel. Who are you surrounded? I'm talking about counsel, not yes man, not no yes woman. I'm talking about counsel that you're able to hear and able to speak, and also to be able to relate and able to react. Even though I'm saying we all hear and we all see, hi, we all hear and we all see, and we all see from a different angle. At the same time, we still speak a different dimension, or we speak from a different realm, and we all have a different frequency. But who's in your circle? We have a lot of loners and renegades. When I said those are in there were loners and renegades, those that are in the fivefold ascension gifts. They're moving alone, like a lone ranger. But who is your team? Who is your counsel? Who counsel with you? Who can you debunk? And again, even though there are those that you could debunk and talk to and relate to, a lot of them are not supposed to be in your inner circle, your chamber. There's a difference. Okay, there's a difference. A lot of them are in a place where you could debunk, and a lot of them you can't even debunk to. You can't even really, you can't even talking about relate or release to. I have those that are so mature in the spirit, you don't even have to say anything. They'll tell you what's going on, and you don't have to share anything with them. But who do you have in your circle that you could counsel with? Counsel with? Who is your brain trust? Okay, who is your circle of intelligence? And I'm not talking about what's going down the street, what this ministry did, or what they did, or what that business is doing. I'm talking about the focus, the mandate, and the agenda of what we're supposed to do, or what we're supposed to build, or what we're supposed to implement. Okay, who is in your team of counsel? Who's in your team of counsel? Okay, who can you talk to? Okay, David did it. He had it, even though he was sanctioned by God, at the same time, he still had a team of counsel. And again, I'll put it this way: though he had a team of counsel, though he couldn't build the tabernacle because he had blood in his hands, he gathered all of the resources, all of the tools, all that needs to be built, because all he saw was a tabernacle. But his son Saul expanded the vision by 400%. All David saw was a tabernacle. Saul saw a tabernacle, a community, a subdivision, businesses, a mall, and he also bought up properties for real estate. I'm just saying, for those that's connected to you, can they see the vision, and how far will they see the vision? Can they see it 10 years ahead? Can they echo the vision to you and tell you what they see 10 years ahead? Can they echo the vision to you and tell you what they see 5 years ahead? Or are they saying, yes, in agreement, I see it, I understand? Can they echo and tell you where they're seeing the vision of that business, that school, 5, 10 years ahead? And it lets you know who that you have associated with. It allows also let you know who you have connected in your circle, and it also let you know that you have become settled and comfortable. Settled and comfortable. And you might say, well, I don't share the vision with everybody. Okay, you don't have to share the vision with everybody, but have those that will echo the vision, and you don't have to share it, because the Holy Spirit is speaking to them. The Father is speaking to them. And so therefore they will confirm and confer what you see or saw. They will confirm what they heard, and they will come into agreement. And based on what they saw, what you saw, what you heard, when you coming together, it will expand the vision. And now you will be running as one. Okay, running as one. Okay. So again, and that lets you know, it speaks of you as a leader when you're alone. When I said alone or lone ranger, because at that time, how can you speak leadership? How can you speak the expansion of the growth? How can you speak growth when there's no team? There's no collaborative effort. How can you speak growth when you're seeing the same people? That means you're comfortable. You're afraid to go out of your circle. So that speaks volumes. That speaks volumes. And this is the thing, and this really gets me. God's been speaking to me about this. We have a lot of intercessors that don't mind going out and telling you what you're supposed to do, and let something happen. They run in and then run in and they get into their incubative place and they shut down. How is it that you're qualified enough to speak and release the word of the Lord, but when something's going on with you run and you hide and you shut down yourself from the world until things are okay, and then you want to come and tell the world what thus says the Lord? Well, the same people you're released to, give them or allow them the opportunity to pray for you, to support you, to back you up, to be with you. But if you think that you could only come and release to the world, and then after that, when things going on, you shut down, so how can you grow a people? How can you expand? How can you lead a people? Everybody got something going on. Not say one don't get quiet within themselves or shut down within themselves, but we do have those that will come and release, rightfully so, to the world. And when something happens, they go in, shut the door. You don't see them for months until that time of release again. Now, who's going to want to hear from you? Why would your voice be quality? Why would your voice be one that we could receive from when we don't see you to fellowship or relate to, or to be able to commune and grow with and be able to come on? You're not realizing that your patterns or your behavioral patterns or the way you're moving, that's why you can't find those that will move and sync with you, because they can't trust you. We can only see you when it's time to lead and release the word, and after that we can't find you. Come on, you have to think about that. Think about that. Okay, can't think. You have to think about that. Moving forward. Again, and so and I'm just going to go back here just one more time. We do have those again that I said, leaders from the standpoint of pointing a finger could tell you what not to do, what not to do, what not to do, but at the same time, they're not doing it themselves. You see what I'm saying? They're not seeing what themselves. And there's nothing like a transparent leader. There's nothing like a transparent look. I don't have it all together. I'm working on it. I'm getting it together. A transparent leader could be trusted. A transparent leader could be trusted. Okay. A transparent voice can be trusted. A transparent voice could be trusted. Why? I'm letting you know this is what's going on. This is what I'm dealing with. At the same time, they're able to see, hey, she bleeds. He bleeds. They're going through the same thing. Because you don't know how. There are those that look up to men and women of God likened to an icon, versus and forgetting that they're men and women and we feel just like they do. So sometimes you have to bring people back to their place of realness by letting them know, hey, I go through the same thing you're going through. I watched a piece on it last night where Viola Davis was talking about her husband, and she was saying she was praying to God for her husband, and when he came, she was saying that he went through things with her when she was dealing with low self-esteem issues, and when she was having, troubles in her life. And she also, and this was national TV, and she said, he was with me when I had bad credit. This is Viola Davis all over movies. I'm talking about Viola Davis. She said, I had bad credit. And he said, and what? And you wouldn't think, okay, she has bad credit. This is Viola Davis. But she was being transparent. Look, I haven't always been here. And even though I've been going through, having self-rejection and self-sabotaging thoughts and processing. And she was being transparent. Know why she was being transparent? Because as she went through her process of healing, now she could talk about it. This is what kept me captive. This is what kept me hostage. Thoughts about myself. And now because she has overcome those thoughts, she's able to share it and free somebody else. It's in you, your transparency. That's when you will free a soul. You might think it's the gospel, you preaching that word, you could quote it all day long, and they will see straight through you that you're quoting that scripture, but something about you is not right. You're not free yourself. Don't forget the pews have eyes too. The pews have eyes too. So you being transparent, they were like, man, look, you're talking to me. You're dealing with me. Thank you for sharing that. I needed to hear that. I needed someone to be, real with me. Okay. And that's when you'll be able, again, you have to learn to be all a fishers of men. And in order for you to be a fishers of men, and you're saying that you're going to win that soul by hook and crook, you got to win that soul, and you have got to be transparent. Okay. You have got to be transparent. Okay. So moving forward, so don't forget, in your faith, in your philosophy, in your stance, that's how your faith is going to help one to cross over. They don't have the faith. They don't even believe in God. They're just like, who is God? What is what? You, by your faith, by your stand, by your belief system, you, by you being transparent, you representing time, is going to lead that soul. Give them light, cause them to be aware, cause them to be conscious, okay? Cause them to see life differently. They will be able to appreciate life differently and be able to hold on to life differently, okay? So life is a force of or for fulfillment. Life is a force for fulfillment. Fulfillment can only be achieved through patterns of living. And I'm going to say it again. Fulfillment can only be achieved through patterns of living. You will be surprised, and I will put my hands up. Even though we're serving Christ and we're living for God, a lot of us have not begun to live our lives. We don't even know what it looks like. We don't know what it looks like to breathe. We don't know what it looks like to live. We don't know how to live outside beyond the title. We don't know how to live beyond the call. We haven't begun to live our life. And that's not how God designed us to live our life. That's not how He designed us to live our life. So fulfillment can only be achieved through the pattern of living in which we focus on two needs. Continuous growth. So a lot of us are stuck. We forgot to grow. We're not growing. We're stuck. We're stuck. Continuous growth, or we will continue to nurture the spiritual side and forget about the natural side. Continuous growth, and two, contribution beyond ourselves in a meaningful will. Contribution beyond ourselves. Contribution beyond the gift. Contribution beyond the call. Everybody don't have to see that ministry so and so was able to sow a seed in this one line. Everybody don't have to see ministry so and so was able to do that. Contribute beyond yourself, beyond the call. Remember, the call have its function, role, and duty. You have so many roles. You're either a wife, a mom, an auntie, a daughter, a sister, a grandmother. Those are so many roles. You're wearing so many hats, and at the same time, those are roles, and each role has a duty. So you have to go beyond those roles, go beyond and contribute, meaning from yourself, the core of you, the substance of you, the essence of you. Okay. As humans, as we empty ourselves, we continually make attempts to reach fulfillment that we have failed. So as we empty ourselves, we reach a mark. We achieve a mark. We achieve a goal. Okay, we have conquered. We have given. It's reciprocated. It's reciprocated, okay? But not only that, we have reached attempts. You have shown someone you were able to see you reach beyond your norm. And you will say, for those that are saying, I don't have it, I'm down to my last $5. Here you go, sweetie. And reach beyond. And before you know it, you get $10. I'm like, I just gave my last $5. Go beyond. Go beyond self. Okay. Go beyond self and be mindful of the time. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the diffusion of paradigms. Okay. So ideas as conceptions requires compatible mental sockets. So ideas, we have mental sockets. Ideas, conception. So in order for us to be interpreted, in order for the language to be interpreted, in order for what you're releasing to be interpreted, you have to adapt. They will have to adapt, which means in order for them to be able to interpret your language, in order for you to be able to understand, comprehend your language, you had to adapt, right? You had to adapt to change. So therefore, they had to adapt. They have to understand your wiring. They have to understand how you are able to articulate and express your thoughts. So therefore, they have to adapt to the interpretation of you, interpretation of the release, interpretation of time. So they had to interpret, just like right now we're dealing with, we were having a winter season in the fall. We were having winter season in the fall. We had to adapt. Okay. We were like, oh my gosh, this is cold. I hate the cold with a passion. But we had to adapt. We had to adapt quickly. Why? Because we didn't want to freeze. It was cold and we had to put that heater on and we had to put some warm clothes on. And so it is for our thought process. Okay. When we are making changes, we are changing our thought process and everything around us is changing. When we change our thought process, it changes the way we see things. It changes the way we hear things and it changes our environment. It changes our environment. It changes your environment. Okay. That's what I could tell you. There's something about you. What's going on? Yeah. It changes your environment. It put a pep in your step. Okay. So they will learn, they will have to learn to adapt. They will have to, and a lot of them don't want to adapt. They don't like your changes. They don't like the changes that you're making. So they're going to make a fuss about it. Okay. So you like your change, you embrace your change. Okay. So these ideas that you're having, these conceptual ideas, are now you're building a new foundation. You're building a new foundation. You're building a new outlook. You're building a new life. You're changing the outcome. You're changing the framework. You're changing the way you project things. You're changing the way you see things. You're changing your appetite. You're changing everything about you. Now you have a new lens. So even your society is changing because as you're changing, now you're tuning in or you're listening to something altogether different. And now you're wanting your hearing has changed. And now you're looking for, you're tapping into the frequency and you're looking and you're searching for a sound. You're searching for that sound. You're searching for that voice that could speak or feed where you're at, that could motivate, stimulate, synthesize, and to be able to thrust you forward because now all of these adaptive and conceptual thinkings and thoughts are changing. And so now you're looking for that frequency. You're in search for that frequency that could be able to speak to your thought process. Okay. So as you do so, now your language is changing, your environment is changing, your collective voices are changing, your collective voices are changing, which means those that you normally listen to or those that you connect with, the voices are changing. Now you're in search, you're looking for an echo or a resounding or of those that speak like you, that have your language. So now you're in search, you're in search for a higher, when I said higher thoughts, higher dimension, and you're in search because your appetite is now, you're hungry, and your appetite now you're looking for what could feed and that makes sense, help you interpret time, or you're timing you, helping you to understand what seems complex when it's not. It's helping you to diffuse the paradigms. So again, that's why I said the mental socket. So now you're changing your thought process. You're overriding your language. And so now you are changing your systematic thinking. Now you're putting a new system in place. And you have to find that sound that speaks to your new mindset. Finding that sound that speaks to the rhythm of your pulse. Finding that sound that's suggestively charging you. Finding that sound that speaks to the new you. And you get frustrated if you're not in sync or in lock or locking in with those that echo your thoughts. And here you go now, you have to downsize, you have to stop, and you have to literally sit down and be comfortable and get and frustrate your grace, frustrate your mind, and become bored again, locking in to old languages, old patterns. And then you'll say, but who's thinking like that? And there's no one. Yes, there is. There is a people. There are groups of peoples. There are those, you just have to come out of your comfort zone, which means get out of your circle, cross over the boundaries, get out of your comfort zone. You will find there are people that think like you. advance of, I'm talking about the advancement of you. And you're like, whoa, where have you been? They have been there waiting for you, waiting synergistically for you. So that's why it says trapped in time. Trapped in time. So are you trapped in time? Being mindful of the time. Are you trapped in time? So you'll find a diffusion of paradigms, which means there's so many heights and depths and breadths to the language of the Creator, to the mysteriums of the Creator, to the revelation of the Creator, to the insights, to the intelligence of you. We haven't even tapped into the intelligence of us. We have been remaining on the same wavelength or the same frequency. How? How you doing? I'm blessed and highly favored. You go down the street. How you doing? I'm blessed and highly favored. How you doing? I'm blessed. The same wavelength. Same wavelength. It's time to override the language. It's time. I don't know if the pandemic was a hard reset, a hard reboot, and we oftentimes needs that because it showed us how much of a in a bubble we were at. Because when I say it shows that we were in a bubble, because we had squatters in front of our door, we had smoke screens and enemy posted up on every corner. But we were so wired and we were we were programmed. Oh, I gotta talk about that. We were so programmed and we had such a tunnel vision that we couldn't even see all of the squatters, all of the tactics, all of the schemes and plans of the enemy, and what was coming against us and what was putting in place in regards to an obstacle. We couldn't see it beforehand until it happened because we were so programmed to see a certain thing or to move a certain way and or to speak a certain way until we got a hard reset. And with the hard reset, it revealed to us that we were so programmed, but a lot of us are not going to acknowledge that we were programmed. Oh, I got to talk about that. Oh, we got to do a talk about that. But as of right now, okay, there is so much. We haven't even tapped into our intelligence. A lot of us speak to the same people weekly. Oh my God, the same people. There's no diverse conversation. There's no. I mean, who do you speak to when it comes to business? Who do you speak to when it comes to the spiritual things? Who do you speak to when it comes to education? Are you having the same conversation just around the board? Come on, the same people, the same level and depth of conversation, the same day in and day out. How are you living? What conversation seems to be so refreshing to the point where you can't wait to commune with that person again? It's like, oh my God, we need to go higher. Who have you spoken to that you're having that conversation and you felt like you have just eaten because you're so synergistically charged? It's like you could go for days on high because that conversation stimulated you so that it carried you. It carried you into some spaces. It carried you into the next realm. It carried you into the next dimension. Matter of fact, some conversation literally catapult you into time. When was the last time you had such a conversation, or been in the energy, or not saying, or been in a room or in the presence with someone like, man, feels so good to speak to someone on the same level? When was the last time you felt that? When was the last time you've experienced that? Yes. When was the last time? So for centuries, God has been raising his brain trusses, his revolters, his history makers, his transformed minds, his those that are I'm talking about. They're so, um, and I said so. They changed the norm of rhetoric because we have different levels. And the thing about it is, when we hear different levels of intellect or different levels of consciousness, we immediately become intimidated and we reject because we think that we're all supposed to be speaking on the same level. No, We have those that spend more time than we do. We have those that go for days on end than we do. We have those that don't get out of the presence, and have those that are just wired, and so they have another depth and a height, and that just depends upon their discipline. That just depends on their discipline. It depends on their framework. It depends on how they're wired. It depends on their study discipline. That's the way they study. It depends on. It just depends. Everybody don't study the same. Everybody, even though we could be all be in the room for 5 hours, when we come out, when and they gave us the same information for us to study. I guarantee you, at the end of the day, we'll all will speak from a different place, but we will all confirm what each other said, because we're going to tap into what each other is saying. But everybody's going to have a different level and a height and the depth of frequency, a different height and a level and depth of revelation and insight, because it depends on how deep you research. Just because they gave you the Bible, that don't mean you have to study the Bible alone. They have the Bible, they have the encyclopedia, they have Google, they have the Britannica, they have so many research. They the Latin Bible, the Greek, the Hebrew, and so you might be the one that's fixated on the Bible and using the commentary, while the others have 5, 10 books all stretched out and researching the same assignment that you have. It just depends on the level of your and the depth of your hunger and the depth of your thirst, and how you're wired, and how you're wired. And that's where God is. God is in the why. He is in the why. When we start asking questions, and we need to go back to that childlike attitude. Why? Don't do this. Why? Why? When they ask you, well, what about this? Why? Start asking why. Why? And when you start going back to those whys, then you start your hunger and thirst again. Your hunger, you start being fed, and you start researching, and you start looking, and you start going a little bit deeper. Why? Why? Okay, why is that way? Why? Why did Joshua pick these certain men with this skill set? Why? Why did that's my why? Why did Paul was able to, even though the disciples walk with Christ, why did he win more souls than the 12 disciples? Why? You start asking those questions. Why? He was led by the Spirit, even though they walk with the man of God, and even though they walk with the kingdom of heaven is at hand. They saw the kingdom, they walk with the kingdom. But why did Paul win more souls than 12 apostles? Why? These are questions you should be asking. Why? Why? So you have to go back to that carefree, childlike mind, asking questions and not being satisfied. I get it. Okay, God, why? And some of you just need to be schooled by the Holy Spirit. For me, I've been in school in the Holy Spirit. Okay, why? Okay, I hear you, but why? This don't make why? Start asking. Okay, we're reading the book, but it says Moses wrote 5 or 6 more books. Why is it not in the King James Bible? Why? You start asking. You start looking at the Torah. Okay, why? You start asking these questions. But we were wired to judge what we don't understand, wired to criticize what we don't understand, and wired to reject what we don't understand, because we don't want to think any further. And a lot of us are waiting for a confirming word because we don't want to think. We don't want to think. We don't want to think. I'm just waiting for a confirming word. But isn't that common? Like, this is me. Isn't that common sense? Why? Okay? Why? But again, I hope this is encouraging you. But get back to that childlike mindset, that carefree mindset, and find out why you're wired the way you're wired. Why are you asking questions? Why? Dig deep. Dig deep. And have relevant studies and transform, change, or revolutionary, change your mindset, change your thought, modifying your system. Get into that relevant study, transforming or transformation or transformative. And before you know it, you will create a movement of revolutionary acts, because you're bringing change and you're modifying your system. You're modifying your system. You're modifying your system. And so these systems and your system will now be redefined. It will serve different, and it'll set a new order to things. And it will also put a demand on the universe. or the principle of the universe. Again, so we have to go and we have to do a reset. We have to do a reset of our thinking, reset of our thinking, reset of our thought process. Again, for those that will be watching the replay, the topic on today was trapped in time. A lot of us are trapped in time. We're trapped in time. I remember a couple of weeks ago, I had this open vision where I was just sitting there, and all of a sudden I just got agitated, and I saw myself got up, and I was trying to close this door. This door was so tall and it's so thick as an ancient door, and I was really trying to slam it. Look at me trying to slam an ancient door. I was really trying to slam it, but what it is, I was trying to take my frustration out of the door. Why? Because I realized I was stuck, and I said, "How did I get here? When did I get here? And why? How long have I been here?" I started asking these questions, and the Father said, "Now that you've asked the right questions, let me tell you how." So a lot of us we call them seasons, and before you know it, thinking it's a season, those seasons last 3 years, 4 years, because we're stuck and we're trapped in time. So a lot of us are trying to be further ahead. As for those, I just saw in this word of the Lord, for those that's now trying to, okay, I should have been did this, I should have done that, should have done. Now you're trying to implement all those in that little space of time. Remember this again. Remember what you're carrying in dormancy. Remember what you have built, implemented, invested in dormancy. All creation has been waiting for it. So it's putting a demand on what you're carrying and what you're impregnated with. So again, allow the seasons to speak, because you might be going back in time 5, 10 years from now, that what God has given you, and you know you should have built that school, had that business 5, 10 years ago. And now you're trying to go back in time. Your mindset was to build and establish that. Now here it is 10 years ago. God had a different agenda. And it could very well be that you wasn't ready then, but now you're ready. It could very well be that your mind wasn't open then, but now you're ready. And now that you're ready to build or establish that school, that business, now you're able to add to it. Now, because there's an expansion of skill set. Okay. There's an expansion of skill set. So it had to be that you had to be refined. You had to be mature. You had to have an open mind. Okay. So assess and allow the seasons to speak to what you're carrying, and allow time the time to speak to you, overriding your time, and assess and ask yourself this question: am I stuck? Am I trapped in time? Am I where I'm supposed to be? Should I be here? Where am I? Where I'm supposed to be? Should I be doing this? Because I'm telling you, a lot of you haven't mapped out. I'm going to be this, and time will disrupt and override your schedule. The critics say, "No, I want this." So ask the Father, what should I be implementing? And what should I be building? What should I be executing? What is it that you want me to do? What is it that you want me to implement in the earth realm? What's the timing of what you're wanting me to implement? It could very well be that he wants you to implement or build in the springtime and we're still in the wintertime. What is it that he's preparing you for? Okay. What is it that you're supposed to be? Um, what is it based on your legacy? What is it that you're supposed to contribute to the masses, to the world? What is it? Just like we have a lot of authors on this line, and we have books upon books upon books, even a list of book titles, and the book titles keep coming, and you're like, when am I going to write all these books? Well, how about you get started with one? And what book do he want you to release now? What book will this generation, emerging generation, be able to read and listen to? Back 5, 10 years ago, and now we're in an AI or artificial intelligence generation. Everybody is instant. Do they have the time to read or to adhere or to adapt to what could be outdated for them? And again, they could go to Google, ask the Holy Spirit Google, and ask Google anything, and within 5 minutes they could get what they want from Google. So what can you give an instant generation? What can you give or contribute to an instant or artificial intelligence generation? And will they be able to stand by to hear a prophetic word from you? Will they be ready to hear a word from you? Being that, again, artificial intelligence, how will they receive Christ? How will they accept or receive the word of the Lord? Those are questions that you have to be asking yourself for those that are leaders on the line and for those that have ministry. You're dealing with an artificial intelligence generation. What would your ministry look like in the next 5 to 10 years? And can it feed and be able to thrust forward an artificial intelligence generation? As we're already dealing with it when we go into the stores, Walmart, whatever, we're seeing less humans working the cash register. Now we have self checkout. Now they're saying some people don't come until 9, 10 o'clock. Why? Because some stores already have robots in the stores. Can your ministry survive in an artificial intelligence age? Can your message survive in an artificial intelligence age? Will your mandate survive in an artificial intelligence age? I'm letting you know, I'm asking you because what you're carrying can very well be outdated. Does it align with your mindset align with the times? Are you ready for the times? Are you equipped for the times? So just asking you these questions, trapped in time. And of course, didn't finish it, but be mindful of the time. We had to come back and do a part 2. So this have blessed you. Please type, yes, ma'am. Please type, this has blessed me. And if you're watching the replay, type #replay. And thank you so much. Oh, and as I'm getting ready to leave, we begin the prophetic thrust tour in March in South Carolina, and I am excited about that. And as we are preparing for that, we are doing a clarion call. We have a team in place that's willing to train intercessors. Also, if you're interested in building and having a hub in your state for intercessors or just a hub, we're willing to help and assist you with that. Also, for intercessors that would like to be a part of the movement as we are touring, please reach out to me. And we're talking about we're gathering the spiritual intelligence. I'm shifting here. We're talking about the gathering of the spiritual intelligence, those that are in tune and their ears are inclined to the Father and what the Spirit of the Lord is saying and how to prepare the masses, how to literally move, bring reformation in time in an AI, literally how to pray and fuel a move of God. And so again, on the 28th, where Apostle Yelena and Apostle Verenda, one is going to be speaking on the chambers or the chamber of one secret place, and the other is going to be speaking or bringing prayer initiative. And myself will also be speaking on intercessors that would like to start a prayer ministry, how to start one, how to begin one, how to identify who you are, what type of intercessor you are, and at the same time, helping to build and equip and retrain and retool intercessors. We have a lot of intercessors that are committing suicides, having suicidal thoughts. They're burnt out, they're fatigued, and they're positioning themselves for everybody else. And now who will be or refuel them? Who will pray for them? And so you're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone. And so the tour starts in South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, March the 27th to the 26th to the 28th in South Carolina. I will put the address to the bottom. We're looking forward to it. It's called, or the theme of it is called Prophetic Thrust. From there, we are going to Houston, then from there, Atlanta, and then Orlando, and in August, we're going to Canada. And in late September, we will be in Abu Dhabi. And I am excited. So as we're growing momentum. Again, these are leaders. They have been there, done that, wear the t-shirts. They're willing to help roll their sleeves up, and they're willing to pray and labor and tarry with you, but also help you by giving us tools and strategies and to help retool you in regards to help you navigate for this next phase or next seasons that you are in. So I will place the link to the bottom of the in the comments section. And if anybody have any questions, please reach out to me. And for those that would like to be a part, we're looking for intercessors. We're also looking for the arts, the we'll soak and bask, those that could blow the shofar, and as those that could draw spiritually, prophetically. Please, we'll put that information out there. And as we come together, I'm excited about this move and the heightening, but the thrusting of what God is going to do. A thrust is violent and it's also revolutionary, and it will all cause one to either reach or connect quantumly, and at the same time, one will syncopate. And for those that's been in the backside of the desert and those that are in the places where they're stuck in the rut or whatever, I guarantee you the voices and what's coming will cause one, there will be a quaking and a shaking, and they'll cause one to be literally thrust into their space in time, into their season, into their present day, into where they need to be. So I'm excited about that. So again, if you're interested in joining us, please, we're looking for volunteers. And if you'd like to be a part of this movement, I'm excited about it. We again begin in March, but before then, we are gathering the intercessors, coming together. We're praying and we're building, we're fortifying, and we're also don't mind coming to your city to help you also equip other intercessors and leaders. And if you are a leader yourself and you're saying, look, I need help, I need assistance to how to based on building whatever, please reach out. We'll be happy to assist you. And so until then, again, I will put the flyer and the link via Eventbrite in the comment section. The first session starts on the 28th of January. The second session is on February the 10th, and the third session is in March the 11th. So you will hear from voices, mature voices, that's really going to equip and train and retool you, the intercessor or the leader. So until then, God bless you.